Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you? This is Red, as you know. So, a lot has changed, a lot has been canceled, a lot has been suspended, a lot of things are going on right now in the world, and I know it's a crazy time for most people outside of just our industry. In fact, if you are somebody who does, or did have some impacts externally that, um, are involving the coronavirus or the COVID-19 or whatever they're calling in the media. Um, my heart goes out to you, and I apologize because there are some family members that I know that have been affected by it because of layoffs and other things, and it is a tough time. So not to underplay or downplay it, but all that being said, the government and anybody else in any other country except for Italy and maybe Japan are blowing this so far out of proportion that it's absolutely bananas. All right, yeah, let's look at what's going on right now. For me, my as far as my players go, this has been a kind of a bonus. Okay, and I know that's crazy to say because we don't have any of the March Madness, and I was really looking forward to that and all that kind of stuff. But my guys were already on casino, as I've mentioned before, and also on the live dealer. So as far as what they've been playing, it's been nothing but casino, and they've been stuck in their houses because of quarantines in different areas, and it's actually worked out quite well. I mean, not I still don't have the same kind of revenue or whatever else that I would be having right now. I'm not gonna say that that's the case, but it is something that I haven't really missed too much. Okay, I haven't. There hasn't been a downswing in head count as much as I thought there was going to be. I thought that some people were just going to disappear, and I may never see him again, considering that a month break during March Madness is a hard time to lose a player. Um, so let's also talk about live dealer and what I've had to up most of my limits on that because some of the guys had some smaller credit limits in the live dealer than they did in the sports, and they ran into those limits pretty quick over the course of the week. Um, so I did I wrote them and got that upped and some of the people continued to play. Some people have just waited to settle their balance or however that is. The APS has been gold for me because as far as not having to go anywhere, they can just send me their credit card information and whatever that is via the APS. And you know, as much as it is an online world that we live in right now, it's been interesting to see the transition between having to and having the option to. Um, because as far as communication goes, we were all pretty online as it is, as far as what they would message me if they needed anything. We have our online, service that we use, and I won't mention names, but that's how we would communicate if there were any discrepancies or they ran into limits or however that goes. And so now, instead of being able to really just kind of like meet in place if there were payments that needed to be made or however that is, we have to do it separately because they're scared and I don't want to necessarily handle a bunch of cash. Cash is the dirtiest thing that we actually have in our system. So um, it's been an actual a very big help as far as it goes to have that option to be able to take online money without having to do anything else. So moving on to what the actual plan is. What the actual plan is. So there are some leagues and sports and stuff running online. I mean, Australia's got rugby. There is some of the Russian basketball and different things that are still running. They don't seem to care so much. So there's been some lines and whatever else going on. Um, I don't necessarily know what is going to be continued to be post for the next couple of weeks. There's no real heads up on anything other than what the CDC announced um, for for these guys and or any of the leagues. They said an 8 week no recommendation for less than 50 people. There's four NBA players that have the coronavirus, which is just a bad flu. Just to be clear, it's a bad flu, and it's not anything more than that. It is not something that, if you are somebody who has a standard immune system, you can survive it without much help, really, at all. In fact, they do need some fluids or whatever, just like any other flu. And if you don't, stay inside and take care of yourself and do what you need to do in that process, yeah, it will increase in severity. Um, so when the leagues do return, because they will, this is not something that is the end of the world, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I can guarantee you that our government, the United States, will have to open up things and have to say it's okay. It's okay to go outside again because there's too much money being lost and too many businesses being closed and too much tax revenue for them that they're not going to get. They are not going to get it if they don't do something to help alleviate this situation. I saw that, particularly the NFL, there's been a bunch of draft. Brady went to the Buccaneers, and Tyrod Taylor's at San Diego, well, okay, LA, for the Chargers, and so there's still movements going on within there. Also, Todd Gurley got released, which is interesting to me. You look at that in perspective, considering that nobody really produced as far as running backs go like him. And I don't know if that's just a discrepancy between management and himself or anything else, but um, the football is going to be on schedule. Their training camps, their places that they can go and do their warm-ups and everything else are going to be open. It's not going to be, I mean, obviously, that wasn't open to the public anyway when they would go to these things, so it's not like that should be affected. And by that time, this whole toilet paper buying frenzy should be over. Um, so, again, I just, it hasn't been the end of the world for me, and I know that I'm lucky, and you're lucky to be able to be in this industry in particular because it kind of confines some people to their houses, and that's what we end up, usually seeing some play happen anyway. It does suck that the March Madness was canceled entirely. It sucks for everyone that could have been drafted that might not get drafted now because they're not going to shine. They're not going to go to the Sweet 16 or the Final Fours or any of that kind of stuff and show their true colors. But NBA will come back. It'll still be the same clowns doing the same WWE style drama, between certain things, and that's how it's gonna go. So just hold tight and in reality, get ready for the return. You know what I mean? People are gonna be fiending to play, to have sports back in their lives after this. I can promise you that. Um, Other than that, I'll cover. This is going to be a little bit longer than normal. Let's talk about eSports and different things emerging from this case. There are, I mean, obviously the major events like the E3 event, and there was DreamHack and a couple other things that have recently happened. I don't know if anyone follows that stuff that listens to this podcast, but as far as the major events like the ones that go on in Vegas and whatever else, of course those are going to be canceled. But there are still some CS:GO tournaments. There's still some Dota tournaments. There's still some LoL tournaments, League of Legends, right? That are going on that are all online anyway, or they're in very small groups, so they can still run these things because it's not a huge market, right? And that's just because there's always the other sports going on. Um, so those lines have been posted. I've had some guys start wagering on esports even though they know nothing about it, which is because they just want to play something. Oh, and another thing too, because of the fact that Easy Live, the other provider, the Live Plus that they put out there, I have it for some of the guys, and they actually have more lines and markets on that platform, and so I've actually switched all of my guys to that platform for the sake of having those extra games. Um, to try and get them to interested and get on the site. So if you are listening and you do get to this point, make sure that you switch the platform for the time being. If you want to take them back off of it in the future because they're not a high value player or whatever it may be, that's fine. But at least in this case, you'll get them on the site and doing something, and you'll get some volume out of it. Again, this is Red. Keep your head up. Keep your game on. The main thing is that this will pass. Okay? It will pass, and the rest of the industry and the rest of the world will actually return to some normalcy. It might change some. Obviously, some companies are going to be in the toilet, and some places are going to be struggling a lot more economically than others. But it is one of those things that It's a true story in the history books right now. So we'll check in next week. I hope you guys have a great week and nothing new really changes. Hey, what's going on, guys?